New York City's legendary Blue Note Jazz Club is presenting the 2025 Blue Note Jazz Festival, running at multiple storied venues across New York City through the month of June, including the Blue Note, Town Hall, Central Park Summer Stage, Celebrate Brooklyn at Prospect Park, Sony Hall, and more. And one of these tremendous shows is Branford Marsalis' record release show for his new take on Keith Jarrett's groundbreaking album Belonging, sharing a bill with Jarrett's collaborator, Charles Lloyd. The show is June 28th at Town Hall, and joining us to talk about the event and the new album Belonging from the Branford Marsalis Quartet is NEA jazz master, three-time Grammy Award-winning saxophonist, composer, band leader, and educator, Branford Marsalis. Great to see you again.
Hey, Doug. What's happening?
We didn't speak that long ago when you were working on the Louis Armstrong musical Wonderful World, so great to have you back. Now, this event coming up on the 28th at Town Hall has to be very special for you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Tell us about working with Charles Lloyd. What does that mean to you?
Well, I've never actually played on the same bill as Mr. Lloyd. So I've seen him at the festivals and we've spoken a bunch, but never actually shared a stage. So this is going to be fun. I mean, it's more about for me. It's more about doing justice to Keith's music because we won't be playing together. You know, he'll have his band, great band. You know, with who's in it? Eric Harlan's in that. Yeah, with Harlan and I forgot the names, but that's going to be fun because all those guys can hit. So. They'll play, we'll hang out backstage. It'll be great. It'll be cool.
There's a lot of buzz about your new album, and I know this is a special interpretation of the 1974 Keith Jarrett recording of the same name, Belonging. I've heard you say in an interview, your quartet wouldn't have been able to do this 15 years ago. Why is that?
We weren't good enough.
Real simple. Well, when we think of what your quartet can do, we can't accept that answer, Branford. We need a little more explanation.
No, it's we focus on the sonic qualities of music more than the harmonic qualities of music, which allows us to use sound to create an emotional effect in colors. When you tend to focus on harmony, harmony is essentially, it's data, it's colorless, it's emotionless. And so we don't really talk in those terms anymore. And it's taken us a while to develop that collectively as a group, collectively as a group to play songs and focus on the sound of the songs, not the information. We're less, it's not a real word, but we're less solo-centric. We don't focus on our solos anymore. We focus on the overall arc of every song and how each song contributes to the large arc of the entire performance or the entire album.
Sometimes it's like asking what's your favorite child, but is there a favorite track on Belonging right now that you're feeling that you say, this symbolizes what we can do with Keith Jarrett's music?
I think it's all of them. It's not just one. Like Long As You Know You're Living Yours is probably going to be the hit in live performance because we all grew up playing popular music. It's a song that hints at that, and we kind of just take it and put it in that space with a lot of intensity. And people tend to like it a lot. I think as a group, we like the idea of playing Solstice. It's just there's so many sonic variables that you can bring into play that we can on a lot of the other songs. So I think we're all looking forward to playing Solstice because we don't play all of the songs from the record on tour. We're not. We try to create a show that touches on a lot of different sounds and a lot of different eras because I mean, the recording, in context, the recording was 51 years old. So there's not a lot of people who, other than musicians, who are clamoring to hear those songs in sequence. So we pick the ones that we feel have the most power for the show that we're doing in general. But for the New York show, we will be playing all of the songs.
What has been the most interesting reaction to the quartet playing the music of Keith Jarrett that you've got from a fan or someone who's come to the performance?
Yeah, the audience doesn't know the difference. They never really know who writes what. So you get a lot of, I really like that third song, but they never say who wrote that. You know, it's just I the parallel for me, the metaphor is how often we use quotes from movies and we attribute the quotes to the actors, not to the people who wrote them.
Yeah, it's very
So
true.
when people hear songs, like a couple of people come up and say, "Man, these are some great songs y'all wrote." And I said, "Well, we didn't write them. Keith Jarrett did." Oh. They don't follow up with, "Well, who's Keith Jarrett? Oh, where can I find his music? Can I stream it?" I mean, some people do that. It's not most people. They're my philosophy about jazz performances. I think there's 110 seats in the Village Vanguard. So if you're playing in a place like Town Hall, you have about 110 people who are like jazz fanatics, and the rest of them are jazz adjacent, jazz curious, a lot of things. So it's not like they have extensive jazz recordings in their library. So almost anything we play, the chances are good that they're hearing it for the first time. So we treat it that way. We don't take anything for granted. We play with a certain level of intensity that we feel brings out all of the qualities of the music, particularly for first time listeners.
It was Kenny Kirkland that really kind of tricked you into enjoying the music of Keith Jarrett. Can you tell that story?
Yeah,
I think it's a
it
wonderful one.
wasn't really a trick because we would do that to each other across the board. Because this was in the days when you could fly and you could check unlimited amounts of bags, and we would the disc man was just coming out, the portable CD player, and we were listening to something and we would just slip headphones over guys' ears. And I was probably the only person in the known universe that was not enamored with the Cone concerts. I just, and I don't have a musical reason. It just didn't hit me. So he was talking, "Man, you got to check out Keith." I said, "Man, I got the Cole concerts. I'm good." He goes, "No, man, there's more to it than that." So he was listening to my song, that album, and he slipped the headphones on my head. And I was like, "Oh man," but then I started listening and I got into it. So after 5 minutes, he tries to take the headphones back and I wouldn't let him. And then he started laughing. And when the plane landed, we were in Europe somewhere. I think we were in Hamburg because a good friend of mine in Hamburg said, "I remember one of the first times you came to Hamburg and we went to the record store and you bought like 25 Keith Jarrett records." And I said, "Yeah, it was more like 10, but yes." So yeah, I went out right after when the plane landed. I went out and picked up a lot of the music.
I think, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what it takes, exposure to the music. Maybe someone will be hearing Keith Jarrett's music, your music now with Belonging, for the first time. It will be fresh and new, and they'll be going into the catalogs and looking for that info.
Yeah, I mean that's one of the things that I like to encourage musicians to do all the time. I mean, I'm an advocate for older music, and some people are not advocates of that. But I'm an advocate of older music. And when I talk to people face to face about this project, I say, well, you really should listen to the original for context, because it's really an amazing record. And Keith Jarrett has done incredible work across the board. And I guess some people will actually do that.
When you're talking to young musicians or students, how do you talk about Keith Jarrett, and have you discussed your album with them?
I don't discuss my albums with anyone really. Uh, I don't. I am kind of like the sum total of all of the people that I've stolen from. And Art Blakey first, very in a very forceful way made me understand that if I wanted to, for instance, play like John Coltrane, I had to go back to his influences to understand what he was actually doing. This kind of one-to-one transfer thing doesn't really work. So I always encourage younger musicians to go back to the music in the 20s and the 30s and the 40s, and Keith's music as well. But yeah, I don't really talk about my own music very much.
I'm going to force you to just a little here by saying, when you were putting this together, did something surprise you that you didn't really feel or know about the music when you were putting together Belonging?
No, we've been listening to this record for 35 years, and we all knew the music, or at least parts of it, very intimately. So we just I put the music out and we start playing, and whatever we're playing, that's what it's going to be. We weren't trying to, we're not Shriners, we're not going to the shrine of Keith and we have to sound just like those guys. I feel that we have to honor Keith's music by playing the song as he wrote the song. So I wasn't interested in changing the meter of the songs or changing the chords. So it was a matter of us figuring out how to interpret the music based on what it actually is. Because if we're going to start messing with its chords, we might as well just write our own songs. That's how I feel. Just like we tend to take liberties as jazzers with a lot of people's stuff, and that's a place where I don't really try to do that. I try to avoid that.
The Branford Marsalis Quartet has been together for a long time now.
This group started in 2009, so
Yeah.
yeah, we've been
So
at it for a minute.
do you feel that's important to keep the quartet, for to keep it
Yeah.
going and not changing up?
Warren Marsh was doing an interview, and they asked him that question, and it was funny to me because no one has ever asked this question. No one asks Mick Jagger, well, don't you want to change it up and go with a new band? I mean, you've been with these guys a long time. I mean, don't you think it's only in jazz? And I guess the reason is because an overwhelming majority of jazz musicians choose not to have bands. And maybe they think it's part of a psychological profile or something. So they say, why are you sticking with the same guys? And Warren was asked that question. And he said, man, it's like you go to a party, you go to a party. We have this thing. I mean, you don't go to a party for the first time and meet people and start talking about, books by physicists or books by philosophers. We have this whole thing. Where you're from? Do you have any kids? How old are you? What do you like? It's just small talk. He says, playing with musicians you don't know, that's all it is, small talk. He says, you can't really get to the deep, meaningful parts of the music unless you've played with people enough to understand where they can go and where they can't go. And I was like, man, that is the answer. I've been using that answer ever since I heard that interview. It's like, yeah, you go to Istanbul and you play How High the Moon with a bunch of people that it's like playing pickup basketball. You don't even know the guy's names. You play and then you dap them up and say, yeah, man, good game. And then you leave. So at least you know the names of the people you're playing with, but you don't really know them. You can't win an NBA championship just picking five guys off the street. You can't make meaningful music picking four people off the street. You can get through it, but it's all small talk.
It's a great answer. It makes a
Thanks
lot
to
of sense.
Warren. Thanks to Warren.
Well, coming up on June 28th at Town Hall, it will be the Branford Marsalis Quartet, and also performing that night will be Keith Jarrett's collaborator, Charles Lloyd. Always a pleasure talking to you, Branford. We look forward to this event, and thanks and continued success.
Appreciate you. Good to talk to you again.